award goes to a very special employee resource group. They played a major role in ending a discriminatory policy that affected literally millions of LGBT employees, service members, and their families. Don't ask, don't tell. So obviously you probably already know what's coming next, but and the winner this year is the U.S. Department of Defense, LGBT. Congratulations to OutServe, and there really is no better way to demonstrate why this year's guarantee winner was selected than for you to see for yourself.
Allyson Robinson and Segfreid.
It's an honor to accept this award on behalf of 6,000 LGBT service members who make up OutServe SLDN. I'm so proud of the organization and where we began while still serving in silence and have built the largest LGBT employee resource group in the country. More than that, I'm excited about the future. As I move to the position of co-chair of our newly combined organization, OutServe SLDN, we will welcome our brand new executive director, a West Point graduate, a former Air Force or Army officer. She wishes she was Air Force. And Allyson comes to us from HRC and will lead us to the many tasks in front of us. She's just the right person at the right time to lead this organization. And I'm proud to be joined by her tonight to accept this award. Allyson.
You know, as an Army veteran and as a veteran of this movement, I am so humbled by the sacrifice that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen make every day. They don't just serve the country that they love, but many of them chose to do so despite the extraordinary burden of don't ask, don't tell. I wonder if those of you who are in the audience tonight who serve, whether you're LGBT or straight, would stand so that we can honor your service. Please stand. Very, very proud of the role that OutServe and SLDN played in putting an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell once and for all. But LGBT service members still carry some extraordinary burdens. They fight for our freedoms, while their family members still don't have the same benefits that straight military spouses have. They have no equal opportunity or anti-discrimination protections. Our transgender brothers and sisters continue to serve in silence. They're barred from legal open service. And our veterans, I've heard it many times tonight, I didn't even realize there were LGBT veterans. Many of them still carry the stigma of so-called homosexual discharges. Now, unlike traditional ERGs, we have no financial support from our management at the Pentagon yet. We're entirely dependent upon donors. And the average OutServe member is in his or her early 20s. But we're strong. We're unwavering in our commitment to make things better for LGBT service members and veterans. Your recognition of their service, their courage, their dedication, their integrity means so much to all of us, especially as we face the difficult challenges that are ahead. And so on behalf of them, thank you so much for this honor.
Tonight we're recognizing a very special LGBT person with the Trailblazer Award. This Outtie Award recognizes a significant contribution in advancing workplace equality. The winner has helped improve their own workplace and contributed more broadly to the movement for equality.
Freidman with Lockheed Martin.
It has been said many times because it is true. All of us here tonight, all of us fighting for equality, we are a family. Each year at this summit, we come together to support, coach, and inspire each other. This family has given me the skills and the courage to fight for equality. And in so doing, how do people help me become a better person? I've learned how to reach out and help those who are struggling. And when I needed help, many in this room were there for me. We are there for each other across geography, organizations, and nations. And if that doesn't make us a family, then I don't know what does. Stand up if you simply know in your heart that inequality is wrong. Stand up right now and be recognized.
I'm proud to welcome the first out lesbian to be promoted to the rank of general in the U.S. Army. Now, to the gay men in the audience who like men in uniforms, we lesbians get to have equal opportunity tonight. Now, for the international members of our audience who've already given their armed forces the opportunity of their LGBT members to serve openly, and for those of you who don't have that yet, we ask you to indulge us as we celebrate the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It's a long, hard battle. So, and maybe for those countries who don't yet have that opportunity, this will give you a little bit of hope. Tammy's story is one of courage, one of leadership, but it's also one of being really very good at what she does. So it applies to all of us. It's also the story of the power of our community when we work together to accomplish something like the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So, as it's appropriate to welcome ranking officer when she enters the room, please stand up and join me in welcoming Brigadier General Tammy Smith.
Thank you, Outtie, for the invitation to spend time with you tonight. As we enjoy this wonderful dinner, I want to acknowledge that there are currently more than 60,000 troops in Afghanistan and countless more deployed throughout the globe. These dedicated service members volunteered to serve in uniform during a time of war, and we must never forget that they are today as we sit here in comfort in harm's way. I am absolutely humbled to be in the presence of people who are creating safe and equitable workplaces. You believe so strongly in this that you traveled from all over the country in a hurricane to create solutions. This is especially relevant for my own organization, the Army Reserve. Our citizen soldiers are engaged in all occupations in this country, yet stand ready to defend in uniform or respond to Hurricane Sandy at a moment's notice. And I know that your work here isn't a fluffy, feel-good endeavor. I know with certainty that I'm speaking to people who have skin in the game. We share that characteristic, you and I. We are all in to live an authentic life, to be ourselves both at home and at work. But it wasn't always that way for me. I'd like to share with you a little of my own story, reflect about my life living within the 1993 law and Department of Defense policy that became known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and speculate a little bit about what we may have in common. In 1982, I received an ROTC scholarship to attend the University of Oregon and would enter the Army as a second lieutenant upon graduation. The year prior, the Department of Defense formulated, for the very first time, a new policy which stated unambiguously that homosexual persons were incompatible with military service. One of my earliest struggles with being gay in the military occurred in the latter part of my freshman year of college. the U of O Faculty Assembly presented a motion that the ROTC department be disbanded because the university non-discrimination policy was now at odds with the discriminatory DOD policy. The professor of military science asked me to write a letter of support to the university representing the first-year cadets in ROTC. I was hand-fed the argument. Because ROTC cadet application process doesn't ask a person about their sexual orientation, unlike an enlistment contract that sends someone directly into the Army, there isn't technically a violation of the non-discrimination policy so long as the student didn't say they were gay. I was complicit in a version of Don't Ask, Don't Tell as early as 1982. Being gay in the military was being part of a secret underground world. We had our own language, we had our own code words. There was a verbal dance to get the confirmation, even when your gaydar told you the truth. Because being wrong meant potential discharge. We'd ask, were you at Fort Lee? What bars did you go to while you were there? Did you know Captain Lopez? Do you play softball? In the underground world, there was no rank. When you lived that far under the radar, everybody looked out for everyone. I never felt like I was doing anything wrong being gay in the military, as long as I kept my two worlds separate. And it was the 80s, a lot of gays led two lives. I didn't think about it being unfair. I really didn't think about it all that much. I became an expert at telling a parallel life storyline for my public life that didn't at all resemble my private life. And I worked really, really hard to be a good soldier. So let's fast forward to 1993. I'm at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. President Clinton achieves a compromise that replaces the DOD policy banning gays with a law passed by Congress that became known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Let me give you some context here about what it was like for us who were serving in 1993. I was 30 years old at the time. In 1993, I thought this was really good. I mean, I was really happy. I thought in 1993 that this was a victory. I believed that it was now okay to be gay in the military, just so long as I kept it a secret. And I was good at keeping that secret. The policy was intended to let closeted gays remain in the closet with the approach that included don't ask, don't tell, don't pursue, don't harass. With don't pursue, don't harass, no longer would people be coming into our barracks room at night to take our diaries, or posing as gay in the officers club to entrap us. In 1993, we believed this was all good. So let's just reflect a little bit on what I believed and reflect upon the paradox of compromise. I believed that by marginalizing myself, by putting a lock on my own closet door, by diminishing myself as an individual, by pretending those who I love did not exist, and by ignoring my partner if we were spotted in public, that somehow now, we were better. But here's the deal. We totally bought into this paradox because we loved serving. It was better than the outright ban because we loved being soldiers. We loved being in uniform. This is a symbol of American values, and we were proud. Back in 1993, it was really hard to feel the disconnect that we were celebrating our legal self-marginalization so that we could serve our nation. Besides, and I say this with integrity, don't ask, don't tell was the law. And the strength of a military in a democratic society is that the laws made by the civilian governing body apply to the uniformed services even when we don't agree with those laws. That's what makes America different from many countries in our world. Our American exceptionalism, if you will, is rooted in the strength of our civilian government and a subordinate military. I survived Don't Ask, Don't Tell by keeping a compartmentalized life. I became a master at it. I had a military world and I had a private world. And these two worlds, they did not cross. To my knowledge, I was never investigated. I never told, and if anybody asked, I simply changed the question. And I got along just fine. I loved being in the Army, and this worked for me. I kept my world completely, perfectly compartmentalized until 2004. Then, without warning, I got hit by a proverbial freight train that changed everything. I unexpectedly found something that I loved more than the Army, my wife Tracy. I had totally convinced myself over the years that service mattered most, and if previous relationships crashed and burned, well, that was just a small price to pay for being a good military officer. But my love for Tracy, especially in a world that had started to move forward on issues such as marriage equality, local non-discrimination policy, and corporate recognition of relationships, this love shifted my foundation. Knowing Tracy and knowing love began to change how I felt to so willingly marginalize myself. I began to feel real conflict between my institutional values and my personal values. As society changed, as you in this room worked so hard to bring equality on so many levels in this country that I had sworn to defend, it became harder and harder to live two lives. One of the most frustrating aspects of living under Don't Ask, Don't Tell after my personal shift was not having my own voice to counter the stereotypes. I was forced to listen as opponents argued about open homosexuality as if I was not separate as a human from a sexual act. They were talking about me, and the law, literally, made it illegal for me to defend myself, to counter the stereotypes about me with my own voice and my own example. I was a soldier, not an activist, and had I had a Facebook status that was my relationship with the Army at that time, it would have been, it's complicated. On September 20th, 2011, the day the law was repealed, I was deployed in Afghanistan. I woke up that day, and I just felt that this day would be different. And I walked to the dining facility for breakfast that morning, and I searched faces for clues of acknowledgement. And there was nothing. And in a sense, that was perfect. Everything had changed for me, but nothing had changed for the military. As predicted, it was a non-event. That day, I flew an American flag in Afghanistan to mark a special day and place in my life. And that flag was present at our wedding. I was selected for promotion after repeal, and I never expected to be selected for general officer. When I got the word, Tracy and I had one of those sit-down serious talks that you sometimes have to have in a relationship. And we had to decide, how are we going to do this? And we decided together, even though I had not come out at work, for the promotion and thereafter, there would be no hiding. To have excluded Tracy from pinning that star on my shoulder and continue the lie would have been a disservice to the military's values. Tracy and I, we are a military family that happens to be gay, not a gay family that happens to be military. Our role as a military couple is to support all soldiers and their families. There was no alternative for us, Don't Ask, Don't Tell military. People give me credit for being brave. I don't really feel that brave because there were so many people who had to be brave before me. When people thank me for what I have done, I know that living my authentic self while in uniform is meager repayment for the debt owed to those brave souls in our collective LGBT history who sacrificed on my behalf without ever knowing me. I can admit to you that it wasn't easy for me to make this coming out leap, even though I knew it was the right thing to do. I was in a totally high hover of panic on promotion day. I went from having 26 years experience as the world's leading expert at being in the closet to being instantly globally gay. It's taken a little getting used to. The Department of Defense is continuing to work through how to support all military families, even as the Defense of Marriage Act prevents service members, including myself, from extending their own earned benefits to certain military members, including my wife. And there will be bumps in the road, but we're moving in the right direction for military families. The Department of Defense General Counsel Jay Johnson noted in his remarks at the Pentagon Pride event, and isn't that amazing? The Pentagon had an LGBT Pride event. Jay Johnson said, and I quote, "The repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell reveals certain inequities between similarly situated couples in the military community. This troubles many of our leaders. On the other hand, we must comply with current law, including the Defense of Marriage Act," unquote. I understand the Department of Defense must comply with the law, just as I understood it must comply with Don't Ask, Don't Tell. But I am somewhat comforted by Jay Johnson's public remarks. He acknowledges the inequity. The work that you have been engaged in has literally, without exaggeration, changed my life and the lives of countless young people who have taken the oath of enlistment. You and I, here's what we now have in common. Now, we both have skin in the game. We still have work to do to be ourselves in all workplaces, but I'm energized by you in this room. If I'm able to stand here before you as a soldier and as my authentic self, it is in part because you have led the way in the workplace, because you insist that we live by our Constitution, which guarantees equality for all, because you in this room so diligently in society at large for the same thing that we in the military believe, that people should be judged by the work they do and the skills they bring to the fight. So do not stop. Don't even slow down on creating inclusive workplaces. We're the land of the free because we're the home of the brave. Courage is not limited to those in uniform. You are living the courage of equality every single day. I'm in your debt. I hope that the example causes someone, someplace, to not suffer in silence. Thank you for letting me spend some time here with you in Baltimore. I'm in your debt.
To